Alright, so I just wanted to make a video on basically going over any kind of jungle concept you can think of. Now, I probably left some things out. I tried to make this as in-depth as I could because I kind of just want this to be a replacement for anyone that wants coaching. Like, let's say you were to get coaching from some player, right? I'm gonna try to go over everything that they would go over in a gameplay. Obviously, you know, you could still get coaching because it's still gonna be specific to like what your strengths and weaknesses are and what you need to work on, but I try to like include everything that I think someone who would get coaching would go over. Now I can't promise that I'm going to talk about everything because I might forget something just randomly. So if anyone ever has any questions about something, you can like leave a comment and I'll try to get back to it. I did make another video in the past about like how to get to diamond off jungle fundamentals, so I probably won't talk about that stuff, maybe a little bit, but if you want more in-depth on like the main things I think you should focus on, I recommend watching that video because I really think that anyone can hit diamond if they just focus on like those 3 things that I talked about in that video, and I go super in depth on like those small topics. So if you have any questions, like you can also go there, just check that out, and if you have any more questions after that, just leave a comment and I'll try to get back to you, because I probably for sure did forget or leave out something, because I mean League's a big game, right? Like there's a lot of stuff that goes on in the game, and even though I have so much stuff here to talk about, like I'm for sure going to be forgetting about something. So hopefully this will cover all that, but just if anyone's curious, I'm just Grandmaster Jungler, so you know I'm not the best player, but I think I do have a pretty good understanding of the game, so I'm just here to, I guess, give some of my wisdom. I've been playing the game since season 1, so I've been through pretty much every meta in the game. So anyways, when you load into the game, let's just start. So level 1 game plan. When you load into the game, you want to like be thinking as soon as you're loading. Even in champ selection, you can think about this, but when you're loading in, you really need to be thinking about like what your game plan is. So first off, the first thing you got to decide is like what's your win con. Obviously in solo queue, your win con is probably just yourself because you can't really trust your teammates. But you do still want to think like there's another win con in the game, like someone you want to play with, right? So so you want to think like what is your win con depending on the enemy team comp and yours. Like let's say, I mean it's usually just going to be bot lane, so it's probably just going to be bot lane most games. Other games it will be top lane or mid lane, right? And you can just always count yourself because you know it's solo queue. But you want to just decide what the win con is, and just because something's your win con doesn't mean you should path there early, because based on matchups you can't always path to your win con early game. It's not always the best thing to do, but you still should decide what your win con is so you can play for that person overall and make sure they're like staying in the game. And your win con can change depending on how the game's going. Like let's say bot was your win con, but now top's giga fed and your top is still decent into their team, like your top can become your win con. So that stuff can change depending on how the game's going, so just make sure you always know what your win con is. So then I can talk about level 1 pathing. Like I said, your win con isn't always where you want to path, right? So first thing you want to think about is like your matchup versus enemy matchup, because that's the most important thing. Like it doesn't even matter if you want to try to play for your team if you can't even survive yourself doing so. So let's say you're a full clear versus full clear. If that's the case, most of the time you can probably just path based on where you want to path yourself. You don't even have to think about what the enemy's going to do because they're just going to full clear too, right? That can change if like for some reason they decide to just invade you, right? That can still happen even if someone's a full clear jungler. But for the most part, if you're full clear versus full clear, you don't really have to worry about your enemy jungle interacting, so you can just path based on like whichever lane you think is best to path off early. So now let's say you're versus invade versus full clear. Not every single invade player will invade you, but you do have to keep this in mind. It does impact where you want to path. So let's say your win con is, or not your win con, but let's say you wanted to path bot lane because you think their bot lane is super easy to kill early because you have maybe Thresh Jinx and they're playing like Soraka Sivir or something, right? So you path bot because you think they're an easy kill, but you're versus like you're playing someone super weak early, champion doesn't matter, and you're versus a very strong enemy early game, right? So actually let me change this, sorry, because actually you would probably still path bot because that's your strong side. Sorry, let's say you want to path top because you think top's an easy kill, right? Because they're gonna be overextended. Let's say it's like Darius into, I mean you'd probably never gank Darius because he might 1v2 you, but let's just say it's Darius into like Darius into something, right? So you want to path there because you think Darius might be overextended. It's a free kill, right? So let's say you want to path top to kill him, but you're versus a highly aggressive jungler. If this jungler is pathing top as well, and their top has shove, this jungler can just invade you and their top can come, and then you're losing your entire blue side. So in games like this where you want to path top and you're versus a jungler that you're scared of invading you, you just have to sacrifice that and just path bot, because then even if this jungler clears his blue side and invades you on your bot side, then hopefully you have bot shove so that your bot lane can, or not your ADC, most likely gonna be your support can come and cover you, right? Mid lane, obviously this will help, but like this can help on both sides of the map, so I'm not going to talk about mid lane having prio for that. But so if you're like a full clear jungler and you just want to be able to full clear, it's usually best to path towards your safe side or your strong side, because then they can help you. If you path just to gank, there's a high chance that this guy is just going to invade you, right? So so when you ever play like a full clear versus invade, it's usually best to just path towards your strong side. I mean, just in general, it's probably best to path towards your strong side in general, but in this case specifically, it's very important. So let's say you're invade versus invade. I mean, this is just another case of you wanting to path towards your strong side, because if he does the thing where he paths towards his weak side and you path towards your strong side, now you can actually invade him on his blue side because you have bot shove. So if you're like playing a strong jungler and you want to invade early, and even so do they, now you have your bot to come move first and help you, because they're going to be stuck under turret farming their minions. So so you generally just want to path towards your strong side. These are just specific scenarios where it's even better too, but so even if you don't start blue side, if you start red side, you could do like red Krugs, Raptors, and invade. If you start blue side, you can do blue Gromp, Wolves, and then invade their blue side. So that's what you would do. Just path towards your strong side most of the time. And then also it does depend on lane matchups. Some of this, like I said, this can change, right? Because if their bot's stronger, then it's really scary to path bot, because like I said, their jungler can invade you. So just lane matchups really heavily change where you should be pathing. Okay, hopefully that made sense. So then early game warding, this also really helps with actually the invading and pathing, so you can see if you're getting invaded or not, and if you should invade. Early game warding is super important. It gives you so much information on the game. If you're not level 1 warding, you're like making the game so much harder for yourself. So generally the best ward to place is like this Raptor ward. No matter what side you're on, is Raptor ward. Usually you want to place this around 105. If you can get your mid laner to ward it, that's even better, because then you can save your ward for like placing it later on Raptors. But if your mid laner is not going to ward it, you just have to go ward it yourself, because it's very important to have this Raptors ward. But that's just generally, like if you're versus a full clear, usually. If you're versus someone like Kindred or Graves or something that usually like to go like red to blue buff, you kind of, I mean, this Raptor ward is still good, and you still want your mid laner to do this if you can. But it's more important to get a defensive ward, right, on like your blue buff or red buff, because if he's going to start red buff and go to your blue, and let's say you're starting red, you'll have no idea that he invaded your blue, and then you're going to clear your red side and then walk to your blue, and this is all going to be gone, or he's just going to be sitting in the bush and kill you. So whenever your verse is like a Graves or Kindred or Nidalee or something, just place a defensive ward in your jungle. So that way you know if you're getting invaded, because even if you can't defend it, at least then you know you're getting invaded, so you don't waste time walking there. Maybe you can go invade their bot side, and in some games their bot will have shove and they'll come defend it, but at least it's better that you can most of the games just take his blue side instead of walking into your blue side and it's already gone. So sure, maybe like 25% of the games you won't be able to take his blue side and he just gets your top for free, but at least knowing he's here is good, because then your team maybe can collapse, or you can just take his bot side instead. So that's why level 1 wards is super OP. Okay, so let's talk about your first clear. So I mean, this is just again dependent on your pathing, right? So if you wanted to path towards your strong side, you'd path blue to red. So let's talk about level 3 ganking. So let's say I'm playing a farming jungler. Level 3 ganking is generally bad. The only time you would level 3 gank is if you know the enemy jungler cannot invade you and you know the kill is guaranteed. Even then, it's kind of coin flip, because generally as a full clear jungler, it's better to just full clear. But again, the only time you ever want to level 3 gank as a farming jungler is if, one, this guy can't invade you, and if he does, maybe he gets 1 camp max, and 2, the kill is guaranteed, right? Like if you know 100%, like, and I mean it has to be 100%, that their bot lane will die or their mid lane will die, then sure, you can go for it. But the reason this is bad, because if you gank their bot side, if this guy's able to invade you, you lose your entire top side. That's a 300 gold. You got, I guess, 450 for the kill because you get assists, but he got 300 gold guaranteed, and he's going to get an XP lead on you, and now you're going to walk to your top side, you're going to have nothing up. So even though you get a kill bot, they don't actually really lose much because they're probably going to come back to the lane and catch the wave under turret, and now you're losing your top side, which is about equal gold, and you're going to be down so much XP, which is even more important than the gold. And then if, let's say you wanted to level 3 gank mid lane, so let's say you do kill, their jungler can see you ganking mid lane, and he knows you're walking to your top side, and you're going to be low probably from the gank and probably without flash. Even if this jungler isn't super strong, he can probably just invade you because their mid's going to TP back and have maybe like a, probably not have items, but he could have a dark seal or something, right? Or even if he doesn't have items, if he TPs back, he's going to be full HP, and your laner will need to recall. So now their jungler can invade you, and yes, you killed their mid laner, but now you're literally going to lose your top side again because they're just going to invade you, and you might even die because if you don't see it coming, their jungler's just going to kill you. So level 3 ganking is generally bad, and it's super cheese. This is why you don't see level 3 ganks very often, and if you do, you get heavily punished for it, because if their jungler is going to go gank top, you cleared your red side, you see him ganking top, now you just go run into his blue side and take it. Like, their bot side might be able to defend it, but most games you're going to be able to just take this, and then he's going to be screwed because he can't take your top side because he doesn't know that you're taking this. So if he walks here and it's all gone because you took this already, he's screwed. He just has to recall after the gank and come here, and then this is all going to be gone. He's screwed. So level 3 ganking is just generally bad. Now if you're playing a tank jungler, it's a little bit better because if you do lose your camps, you don't care as much because your champion is a lot less gold hungry. So if you are playing like a tank jungler, it's okay to level 3 gank. It's not as, I still probably wouldn't, because if this guy gets 3, if this guy's playing like a farming jungler and he gets your 3 camps, he's gonna snowball super hard off of that, and your champion already doesn't farm fast enough anyways. If he starts to get a level lead on you, he's gonna snowball the game if you're versus a good jungler. So if you're, just general rule of thumb, level 3 ganking is really bad. If you play a ganking jungler, it's like a tank, you can maybe go for it in the right scenario, but usually you just don't want to. Okay, and level 3 invading. So let's say you want to level 3 invade. A lot of this depends on prio, right? So, or if you know the enemy laner just can't come in time, if you can kill them before. So this is why Raptor Ward is OP, because let's say this jungler is doing red buff, Krugs, Raptors, and you see him on Raptors, and you see him going to his blue side, and he's kind of low, right? Because some junglers just really suck at kiting, and they get very low from their clear. You can very easily just invade him on his blue, especially if you have bot shove, right? Your bot has shove. If you invade him on his blue here, you're probably just gonna catch him off guard, so he's gonna, you know, you're gonna have ambush surprise, so you'd probably just win the fight. And you have bot shove, so if anything goes wrong, your bot's first to rotate. And then if their bot rotates, right, they're missing the wave under the turret. So you guys can just play it slow and just like back out, or like kind of just tease them on the buff and just like kind of kite it so it goes back and forth and just waste their time, because then they're just dropping minions for free. Eventually they're gonna have to go back to lane. You just get this, or you kill their jungler. So if you do want to invade, that's kind of how you want to play it based off like wave state. But even if you don't have prio, like let's say your bot lane's like slightly pushed, right, and your mid's maybe even, if you can kill their jungler like instantly, like if you know you can kill their jungler instantly, their bot's not gonna end. It's not warded, by the way, because if this is warded, their bot's gonna rotate first. But if it's not warded, you know you can kill this guy instantly, it's okay to go for sometimes. It's just very cheese though. But then you can still go for it, because if you just one-shot this guy, they're not gonna have time to react, and if this guy's dead instantly, now you just have numbers advantage, so there's nothing for them to rotate for. So that's another instance you can go for level 3 ganking or level 3 invade. So okay, so let's say just both junglers full clear. Okay, so you do your full clear, and you're both ending up top side. So obviously you're gonna fight over scuttle. This is just normal. Actually, let's just say for the first part, let's just say you path opposite side. So he ends up on Gromp, you end up on Gromp, and you guys both just take scuttle. So nothing happened early game, right? Let's just say like every lane is ungankable, right? Like they're just in the middle, like they're just chilling. So you have a few options after doing scuttle. You can get vision. You like this raptor ward is usually OP. You can get vision. You can go for a gank. Like if this top looks gankable, then you know you can go for it because you have downtime before your camp respawns on Krugs. You just got to make sure you get here on spawn is the only thing. So after your first clear, you want to think. After you do scuttle, you want to think, what can I do? Can I ward? Or sorry, first thing you should think is, can I gank? Right? If you can gank, then sure, go gank, right? Next thing you want to think, can I ward? Which is always yes. Like you can always drop a ward here, right? So you always have something to do. And then the third thing is double scuttle. So let's say you both path top, right? And you fought here and you're stronger than him, so you push him off and you get scuttle, and he's gonna have to walk all the way around, and you have the chance to double scuttle. This is the #1 mistake people make. Double scuttling is usually pretty bad. I mean, you can maybe get away with it sometimes, but if you versus a good jungler, you can get punished because level 1 scuttle gives the worst gold and XP of any camp in the game. It gives, I think, 70 gold and like no XP. So yes, you get double scuttle, but you don't get that much from it. And then now this camp's respawning, so you have two choices of just recalling and getting to your camp late, or going to your camp when you have no items, and then it kind of forces yourself to stay on the map with no items. And it's fine if you don't get invaded, but problem is, what if he invades you on your wolves because he knows he has item advantage, right? Now you're screwed. He's gonna take your wolves and gromp, and all you got was one scuttle here. I mean, you did get the scuttle, but that's irrelevant because you losing wolves and gromp was because of this one scuttle, right? So he's gonna get your wolves and gromp, which are level 4. Higher level camps, as the game goes on, these camps are gonna be higher level, right? So these are just worth more than this level 1 scuttle, and he's gonna all of a sudden be up like 2 levels on you eventually, because he's gonna get a level lead right now, and then later he's gonna be stronger than you. He can maybe invade you on your bot side even. So this is the #1 mistake I see people make, is going for level 1 scuttle, because even if he doesn't invade you, right, let's say you full clear, you both full clear again, you both full clear towards top, he's gonna be first to finish because he has item advantage, right? So he can gank top when you're on wolves because you're taking forever to clear because you have no items. So he's gonna gank top first. You can't even interact because you haven't cleared. And let's say for some reason you both clear at the exact same time and you're both here, right? You can't help here because you have no items and he has a pickaxe. So if a 2v2 breaks out, they're just gonna win, and then your top's gonna die and you're gonna die, and it's gonna feel really bad. So this is why, like, level 3 or double scuttle is like the #1 mistake I see people make. The only reason double scuttle is okay is if you start raptors, because you're gonna be staying on map anyways to try to get your raptors. So it's okay to double scuttle because you're gonna be taking your raptors and Krugs anyways. So that's the only reason why I think double scuttle is okay, is if you're doing raptor start. That's the only time double scuttle is okay. Otherwise, just recall and go to your camp on spawn. So hopefully that just emphasizes why it's really important to get on your camps on spawn and double scuttle. Okay, so now you full cleared and you both reset, right? So where do you want to run from base? So generally you want to just run to where you started, right? You want to run to the first camp you started on, because like I said, oh my god, I'm talking so much it actually is hurting my chest. I'm sorry, I might have to breathe for a little bit. Okay, so well, I guess let me just talk about the first point I put here, right? So run from base to gank. So even though you're gromp spawning, if this guy's like griefing, you can sometimes just go for a gank, right? The benefit, do I talk about this later? Did I not talk about this later? Okay, I do talk about this later, so I won't talk about it now. But anyways, so when you come from base, you can just go for a gank right off the bat. Because you're not really at risk of losing your camps because you're on the same side of your gank. But you do lose a little bit of tempo, so you usually want to make sure this is guaranteed if you're going to go for this. Let me drink a little bit of water, I'm thirsty. So you do want to make sure this is guaranteed because you do lose a little bit of tempo. And like I said, if the enemy jungler gets ahead of you in clearing, like he sees you gank top and you do gromp wolves, he can invade you on your raptors because he knows you're going to be here late. So he can just take your raptors before you can even interact. So that's why you want to make sure this gank is guaranteed before you go. So you could run, you know, straight out of base to gank, but just know that you could get punished. So you want to make sure this is worth it. So generally what you want to do is just literally go to your camp on spawn and just full clear, because especially in low ranks, like junglers will make mistakes and like overstay on the map and get to their gromp late, and then you'll be on your wolves when he's on gromp. And like I said, you know what that means? If you knows he's on his gromp late because you got a deep board here, or you got a deep board on his raptors, Then you can just go straight from your wolves to his raptors, and then he's going to be on wolves when you're on raptors, and then you're going to be on krugs when he's walking here. He's going to see this is gone. He's going to be like, how is this gone? And then he's going to walk to his krugs, and you're going to be walking away. And now all of a sudden you have a 2 camp lead. So that's why it's really important to get to your camps on spawn. Like, really important. So generally, when you come out of base, you can abuse this so much in low elo. Just get to your camp on spawn. Like, even if top is gankable, usually it's better to just start your camp. If this guy's completely griefing, sure, go kill him. But like, usually it's just better to just start your camp. It's super OP to just get your camp on spawn. Because all of a sudden, when you take these 2 camps, now you have a 2 camp lead. He can't invade here, right? Because by the time he realizes this is gone, you're recalled after krugs and you're running straight out of base and he can't fight you because you have level advantage and item advantage. So that's that. Another thing is, okay, so like I said about the double scuttle, right? So let's say you both full clear top and you can't fight him, and then he double scuttles you, so you recall first, and he's on bot scuttle, right? Or he's running to bot scuttle and you're recalled. So you can actually run to his gromp, and if he recalls after scuttle, you literally just take this. If he doesn't and he tries to fight you here, now you have item advantage because you recalled first, right? So if you know he's double scuttling you, you can literally just run straight to his gromp and fight him here. You do have to be careful because their bot can come, but hopefully, like, since you're stronger than their jungler, if these lanes are like even, hopefully you guys can 3v3 and you should just win because you have level advantage on jungle, right? Because you or item advantage because you recalled. So if he double scuttles, you can literally just run to his camp and just start it. This is even more OP if someone starts raptors, right? Because this is a lot easier to invade than gromp is, because gromp's a little bit deeper. Raptors are easier to invade, so that's the benefit of running to enemy respawning camp, because if you do fight him here, he's pushed off. He's also scared to fight you on his wolves too. Wolves are a little bit harder to get because then mid starts to rotate and you're a little bit deep, so but if you can even just take gromp, it's good. Okay, so level 5 dragon. Another option you have coming out of base is dragon, because after your first clear, dragon is like usually spawned. If you start a buff and you're just doing regular full clear, it's probably not best to do dragon, because then you kind of stop your clear for dragon. But let's say you start raptors, especially on red side, this is better. Sorry, it's specifically red side, because on blue side when you start raptors, then your next spawning camps are up here. But let's say you start raptors, right? If you full clear and then do raptors krugs again and respawn, that's when dragon's spawning, and the only 2 camps you're gonna have up are wolves and gromp, which you just took raptors, so you know these aren't respawning for like another minute, so you actually have time to go straight from base to dragon and then do gromp and wolves, and then your raptors are respawning. So it's actually better if you just come straight from base and do dragon on spawn and then do your gromp, wolves, then raptors, then krugs, because your raptors aren't spawning for a while. So if you come straight from base and do wolves gromp, then you have like 20 seconds till your raptors spawn, and you literally have nothing to do. Like, maybe you can gank bot, maybe you can gank mid, but if you come straight from base and do dragon, it's guaranteed play that will always work, as long as like their team doesn't come rotate, right? The level 5 dragon will always work. The only time it won't work is if it's like warded and they contest you, but obviously you're not going to do dragon in that scenario where like they're going to contest you, right? So level 5 dragon straight out of base is super OP, because your camps are here, but they can't take them because you're here, right? But let's say you started blue side, right? Let's say you're this jungler and you start raptors and you went straight from base to dragon. If you're red side jungler and you know he's on dragon, you can just take these because he's all the way over here. So that's why on blue side you don't want to do it, but on red side, if you're red side jungler, you can do it, because your camps that are up are going to be wolves and gromp, which you're on the side of the map that is, right? So that's why if you're red side, doing dragon on spawn is super OP. If you're blue side and you start raptors, you usually just want to play grubs, because you're going to be on that side of the map anyways. And then if you do level 5 dragon, actually, do I talk about this next? Oh, okay, early game objectives. So this kind of just goes off the last thing I was talking about. So early game objectives, dragons versus grubs. Generally grubs are better. The buff they give is really good, and like the dragon's only really good if you can get soul. Like, you can't guarantee your teammates are gonna fight 3rd and 4th dragon, right? Like, you can usually secure like the first 2 dragons by yourself by being the better jungler. Not always, but usually. And then 3rd and 4th you can't guarantee. So grubs are usually just better because you always get value out of grubs. Plus grubs give more XP than dragons. So as a jungler, you like grubs because you're gonna get more XP. So generally grubs are just better as a jungler, especially if you're a farming jungler, because like I said, grubs give more experience. So you want to play for grubs, especially if you're playing a farming jungler. So that's just that. Grubs are just generally better than dragons. Oh, and then, okay, so let's say you do dragon, like you do off spawn, you do dragon at 5 minutes, and grubs is spawning at 6, right? So now you have to decide, do I want to contest grubs? Usually the answer is no. If you try to play both objectives, all you're going to do is just overextend yourself and your team. Because if you do this dragon, it takes, you know, tempo to do this, right? So the enemy jungler is going to clear his camps and he'll probably be level 5. I mean, you'll probably be level 5 too. But the enemy team's just going to have tempo over you. These camps are respawned, right? And these are too. So you risk like losing your entire jungle if you go for this. The enemy jungler is already full cleared, so he loses nothing fighting grubs, right? But if you go straight from dragon to grubs, you're pushing your tempo too much. All these camps are just sitting here. Even if you do get this, it's not even really worth it, because like their jungler doesn't lose anything because they've already cleared everything. And yes, you get grubs, but you just waste all this time that these camps are respawning for the chance, for the literal chance of getting these grubs. It's not guaranteed you're going to get these. So usually what you want to do is, after you do dragon, you just literally let them take grubs. If this guy doesn't take grubs and you full clear and grubs are still up, then sure, you can go play for grubs. But you don't want to run straight from dragon to grubs. The only time you want to do that is if you're playing like a tank jungler and you don't really care about farm, then sure, you can go fight grubs. But as a farming jungler, literally never try to fight the other objective. It's almost always just going to end up bad, even if you get the objective. It's just better to just full clear. You get so much more tempo off just full clearing here. So it's really bad, and it's the number one mistake I see junglers, not number one, it's one of the top mistakes I see junglers make, is just trying to force both objectives instead of just trading. Because the first objective, you're usually going to just trade, so. Okay, so, and then from there on out, when you do objectives, you got to think, do you win the objective, okay? If it's no, you have a few options. So actually, let me do if it's yes first, because that's easier. So if it's yes, usually you can just fight the objective, right? Like obviously, like if you know you win the objective fight, just do the objective, right? I mean, sometimes you can find better stuff to do than the objective, but most of the time, let's just say generic, right? Most of the time, if you win the dragon objective fight, you should just do the objective. So if you want to guarantee that you get it, even if you know you're stronger, just, you know, get bot shove, or sorry, get mid shove. I have this as mid over side. So side priority is also important, but mid priority is way more important. So you can literally run mid lane to just help your mid laner shove, or even just being there, right? Even just you being there makes their mid laner scared. So you want to try to get mid shove, and then you, like, they're gonna have to answer to this, right? So you just get to walk in here first. So that's one thing. Just always have mid shove. Mid shove's OP. Bot shove is another thing. Like obviously you want bot shove, but it's not the end of the world. Mid shove's more important. So you want to just get priority, and then you want to maintain a hold of this area, right? So since you're stronger, you don't want to just like let them walk in. You want to try to keep priority, especially if the dragon isn't up yet. Like just pink this bush. Actually, I can place wards, right? Okay, here I can do this. Wow, I forgot about that. Okay, that's OP. Oh my god. Okay, let me put this off the map. Okay. So you can just ward this. Oh my god. Why does it keep spamming wards? How do I turn this off? Okay, there we go. I have a million wards everywhere now. What the? Move objects. Okay. So actually, let's say you're blue side, because that makes it easier with this ward. So if you have control of this, like you had mid shove and you have bot shove, okay? Just say you're blue side. You already have control of this area. They're gonna have to like walk back. You have this warded. They're very scared of like walking up, because this is warded, right? You can just sit in this bush and just start poking them. It's really hard for them to walk in, and especially if you're already winning, like they can't just brute force because you're winning. So this objective just becomes free. Just becomes free, right? So it's really important to try to like pink vision, sweep vision, and get vision, and then, or get mid shove first of all, and then second of all get vision, and take away their vision, and then just like keep hold of it. And they literally can't contest you because they're walking in blind. They're not going to contest you. If they do, they just die. So let's say you don't win the objective fight, but you want to take it, or no, you don't want to take it. Let's just say you don't win the objective fight. First of all, you have to decide, do you want to take it? If you don't care to take it, you can literally just go trade the opposite side of the map. So your mid shoves, or they shove, your mid counter shoves, and then you guys can literally just go like dive their top laner, like 3-man dive top, and play for this turret maybe, or play for like enemy jungle camps. Especially first dragon, this is super OP because first dragon spawns around like 5 minutes, right? But usually people do it around 6 minutes, which is when enemy red buff should respawn, because most people start top side, right? So this buff should spawn around 6 minutes. So you can literally just do your grubs and run into the red side, and then maybe their Krugs and Raptors are up too. You can take those if he's on dragon. If they're smart, they'll do the same thing, take your bot side. So it's kind of a trade. But let's say he doesn't do this because he's a bad jungler and you're a good jungler, right? Because you know you should take these. Now you're just up 3 camps on him. And if you are doing this, you want to try to ping for your mid laner to like place a ward in your jungle, because that might scare off the enemy jungler so he doesn't invade. And 2, like if you know he's invading you, then you know this is gone, right? Or you know he might flank your bot lane. So if you are going to invade the enemy jungler, you want your mid laner to try to ward. So if you can communicate that, it's good. Okay, so if you can't fight it, right, you can just trade opposite side of the map. Or if you really need the dragon because it's like dragon soul or whatever, what you can do is you can just get a pick before the objective. So you guys can just like try to sit in a bush and just cheese someone. Like that's the way it can work. Or you can just like try to go side lane and try to get a pick on the side before an objective. Because a lot of the time before objectives, like they're trying to get shoved, right? Like laners are trying to get shoved before an objective, right? So they might be overextended. You might be able to just go kill them first. Even if like their jungler's here, like let's say their jungler's here, like setting up the dragon, right? If their bot lane's here, you can literally just go behind them and fight them, and then their jungler has to walk all the way down. They're already dead probably before they're already dead before their jungler can interact, right? So you can create a losing position into a winning position, because if they're dead, right? If they're off the map, now it's just a 4v2. It's literally just a 4v2 and you get the dragon. So getting picks before objectives is super OP. You can turn a losing situation into a winning situation. Split enemies. So like I said, even if like let's say they have full control of the objectives, right? And let's just swap this actually, because like late game, this is what happens. Let's say it's a late game objective, right? So the top laner is, let me mix this up. Okay, so bot usually goes mid and top will be like, I don't know, bot lane for the dragon, right? So their bot has shove and they have mid shove, okay? You can just pick off their top laner because he's split, right? Even though their jungler's like right here. Wait, I mixed up the junglers. Okay, so you're blue side, right? You can just pick off their top laner because even though the jungler's right here, they're split. So you can just find this small window where they're split and just one-shot this guy before their jungler can even interact. So it might seem scary when they have full control of an area, but if they split off for even a second, even if it's like this much split, right? You guys can split them off like this, right? If you're like this, they're split. Even though they're pretty close, this is split. Like if you can split the enemies and just pick them off, like even if you get half HP off of it, just having numbers advantage is usually, because this top lane is dead, you just having numbers advantage is usually enough to just get the objective. So either try to get a pick on side or just split the enemies up and then get a pick off of that. And then again, mid side, like just if they're griefing and not getting priority and you're weaker but you get priority, you can sometimes just get the objective even though you're weaker because you have priority. Like you could be weaker than this guy, but because you have mid and bot priority, like you just get the objective. So that's a way to do it too. If you can't win it, is just get priority. Okay, so dodging vision as a jungler is super important, and I'm not even just talking about like for ganks, but just dodging vision in general. Like it's really important to not be seen on the map, because not being seen is pressure. There's a reason why it's super hard to play into Evelyn, because she's perma is invis, right? So you have no idea where she is. You have to play scared the entire time. Like Evelyn could be sorry, you're blue side. I should just keep it blue side for most of the thing to keep it easy. But like let's say Evelyn's top side, right? They're red side jungle, Evelyn's top side, and your bot's pushed up. And you're also top side. Your bot has to play a little bit scared, like be ready, maybe Evelyn is bot, because they have no idea she's here, because she's just perma invis. Even if you have a ward here, like a regular ward on her red. Okay, actually let's not say red, because if she's doing it, obviously you'll see. But like, let's say you had a ward in this bush, right? Obviously you'd see if she's taking the raptors, but let's say for some reason she didn't take her raptors and she's just doing red. You would have no idea she's top side because she's just you haven't seen her, right? So your bot has to play super safe. Even though they're pushed up, you can't pressure this because you don't know where Evelyn is. So not being seen on the map is a good thing. Let's say their jungler walks over this ward and gets spotted top. Now your bot lane can push up and just like pressure them under turret. That's why not being seen is super important. So for instance, let's give a scenario. So let's say their top laner is, I think I said the scenario earlier, but I'll reiterate it. So let's say their top laner is pushed up a lot and dragon is up. Can I spawn dragon? Oh, I don't know what that just did. Oh, it changes the map. How do I spawn dragon? Anyways, let's just say dragon's up, okay? The way I can put a dragon? Okay, anyways, let's just say dragon's up, right? And your bot lane is like under turret. Okay, and the jungler is doing Gromp. So let's say you are topside right now because either you're pathing bot or you just finished pathing top. It doesn't matter either way. You see this guy is a free kill. He could 100% be a free kill, but in this scenario it is 100% not worth to kill him. I don't care if he's 1 HP and you just have to tickle him. You do not go for this gank, because what happens is you go for this gank, the second they see you topside, their jungler is either gonna 1 take dragon or 2 dive your bot lane, and in both scenarios it's not worth the kill top most of the time. I mean, you can argue the dragon for the kill because then you can push out and get turret, but if their jungler just dives your bot lane because you're top, then they're completely out of the game because they're gonna miss a big wave probably, and they get 2 kills and you get 1, and then now they can just walk dragon after, right? So now you got 300 gold and then they got 600 gold, well, plus the assists. I don't care about the assists, let's not talk about that, but they got more gold and now they get dragon too. And not only that, but now they have complete control over your bot side. Like, they could even invade your bot side if they wanted, right? Like, their jungler could just invade your bot side, take all your camps, and now you're just homeless just because you saw this guy that was gankable. There's been so many scenarios where like I get pinged by my teammate because this guy's under turret, and it's like I don't want to show top because if I show top, what happens bot? You always have to think, if you show on the map, what is going to happen, right? That's another point of this. I think, I don't know if I put it, but yeah, make sure gank is worth before showing, right? Whenever you do show on the map, you got to make sure, is it worth it? You could know the gank is 100% guaranteed, but you got to decide, is it worth it? And that's another thing. The gank isn't always guaranteed, right? Sometimes this could be even, right? And you go for this gank, right? And you don't even get the kill. Now it's even worse because not only did you not get the kill, but they're diving your bot lane. So you don't get the kill, they dive your bot lane and they get dragon. You get nothing and they get dragon and kill your bot lane because you wanted to go for a coin flip gank. If you just don't show here, their bot lane has to play a little bit scary because you could be down here, right? And their jungler doesn't want to start dragon even though he's prio because you could be down here and maybe gank their bot lane, right? So it's really important to just not show on the map unless if like one, you know their jungler can't be bot side. Like if you know he's up here and then you could just kill this guy, then sure, kill him. But if you think that they might dive your bot lane, don't show top. Because also, even if their jungler's top side, right? And you go kill this guy, their bot can play super aggro now, and what if their bot can 2v2 your bot lane under turret? Then it's still doomed. So just think before you go for a gank, or even before you show on the map, whether it is worth it to show on the map, because not showing the map is pressure. Okay, so as a jungler or even anyone in the game, you should be thinking about the map as gold. So every camp is about 100 gold, some camps are less, some camps are more, and a kill is 300 gold. So in general, right, one quadrant is going to be worth the kill, not accounting assists. So let's say, again, I could go kill this guy. Let's ignore, say your top's in base, right? I could go kill this guy. This is worth 300 gold without assists, right? Because this guy's in base. This is worth 300 gold. But I also have 300 gold worth bot side. This kill isn't guaranteed. What if their top laner outplays me and kills me? Now, not only do I not get the gold, I give them gold, and then maybe my bot side gets taken, right? Their jungler can invade. Even if their jungler doesn't invade, it's just better to, you know, clear your bot camps, because this is worth 300 gold. You get experience too, which is OP, and you get your camps respawning. So you just want to think about the map as gold and what's guaranteed and what's not guaranteed, because almost always, like 200 gold guaranteed is better than 300 gold that's a maybe. Almost always. Even if there's only raptors and krugs up, if this gank isn't guaranteed, I'm probably just going to go clear my raptors and krugs. Because again, if you show top, what happens bot side? There's always going to be something happening every time you show. So you just want to think about the map as gold and compare the risk to reward. Now, if their top laner has a shutdown, right? Let's say he has like a 400 gold shutdown, then sure, you can go for it even if it's not guaranteed, because the risk to reward is better, because you can maybe get 700 gold even if there's 200 gold sitting here. So you just always got to think about where the gold is. Also, Herald, you know, 300 gold. I don't really need to explain that. That's 300 gold. So like, let's say your top side's up and Herald's up. Instead of going for this top gank, you could just take Herald and take your top camps. That's 500 gold right there. So, and guaranteed versus coin flip gold. I talked about that. Oh, how much less? Oh my god, I'm so tired already. Wow, I've been just rambling. Okay, I can push forward. How long is it already? 40 minutes. Oh my god, this is gonna be such a long video. Okay, so when you should gank. My chest hurts from talking so much. Okay, when you should gank. So I have it written down here, right? Gank at the beginning of your clear. When you're playing a farming jungler, you basically have two options, because you don't want to break your clear as a farming jungler, right? It's usually best to just full clear as a jungler. So you have two options. You can gank at the beginning of the clear when you come out of base. And the pros of this is you're very strong because you just came out of base. So if their jungler tries to match you, you probably win because you have item advantage, right? Because you just came from base. But the cons are, if for some reason he's like sitting in this bush and you try to gank top and then he counter ganks you and now you lose the fight, not only do you die, but their jungler can now invade you and take your camps. And even if he doesn't take your camps, now your camps are just sitting here and wasting time just sitting there, not leveling up and not getting cleared. So when you gank at the beginning, the pros are you're strong, but the cons are you risk losing your camps and you just risk wasting time. So the other option you have is gank at the end of your clear, right? So let's say you gank at the end of your clear. The pros are, even if this goes wrong, like somehow the play goes wrong, like their jungler again counter ganks you, even if the play goes wrong, if you die, he walks in your jungle, nothing's here. You don't lose anything because you already took everything. So all you lose is like the gold for the kill. So ganking at the end of your clear is usually safer, but the downside is that like if their jungler just came from base, he's gonna be stronger than you because you just spent, you know, a full minute farming. You're sitting on probably 800 gold, maybe 600, 800 gold. So you're not gonna be as strong as you could be. If their jungler just came from base, he's gonna have item advantage over you. So you're not gonna be very strong for this gank is the con. But even if you do die, at least you don't lose your jungle. So those are the two pros and cons to gank at the beginning and end. Now if you're a tank jungler, you can actually gank mid lane. You can actually gank mid lane because it's not as important to just full clear. Like you can do Gromp Wolves and gank mid. It's not as bad if you break your clear, right? So you can actually gank mid a lot more as a tank jungler, and it's not as bad as if you lose your camps ganking. Obviously you don't want the enemy jungler to get a bunch of gold from your camps, but it's not as bad. So you can go for a lot more risky ganks as a tank jungler. As long as you're not screwing over your team, you can go for more risky ganks where it might screw your tempo. You can get away with a lot more as a tank jungler. Farming jungler, you basically just want to usually make sure you're just full clearing and then going for ganks at the beginning and end of your clear that are pretty safe. Like usually you want them to be pretty guaranteed. So yeah. Okay, so mid game, skipping camps to open up map more. So even as a farming jungler, like I said, you want a full clear, right? And you don't really want to gank mid. Once you start to get your item, like usually after your first item or level 7 or whatever, you can actually start to gank mid lane because now you have more like utility spells or whatever to gank mid lane. Mid lane's pretty hard to gank, right? Because it's a short lane. But now you have more spells to just be able to access mid lane gank, right? Not only that, but you clear way faster. So it's not as bad if you break your clear because you can just like, you might have a 10-second delay between your wolves and raptors, but because you can clear so fast, it's not as bad when you get to mid game. Early game, if you break your clear and you gank mid, this gap between wolves and raptors becomes like 30 seconds, but mid game it's only like 10-15 if you gank mid with items. So it's okay to start ganking mid lane as a farming jungler once you get items because it's not as big of a gap of breaking your clear. Especially since you already have your item, you don't want to just basically AFK farm the entire game, right? Obviously if there's nothing to do, you can just AFK farm, but you want to try to start ganking so you can open up the map more, because if you gank mid and you kill, now you get mid shove, now you can actually start to invade, and you get mid shove, you can actually just roam bot and go kill bot. So once you get to mid game, you can go for a lot more windows where you can just kill people even if your camps are up. It's more important to like make sure you're just farming early game. Mid game you can start to gank more, even on farming junglers. But you still want to make sure you're not doing terrible ganks that are like just coin flip, right? You want to go for ganks that are good ganks, and you're not going to risk much losing your jungles. So, and then late game, getting picks on sides. So late game, usually what you want to do as a jungler, like you can start skipping camps late game. I mean, you can skip camps mid game too, but late game you can just completely just start skipping camps and just like picking them off on side. So let's put bot mid again. Let's put mid laners bot for fun. Okay. So you can just start picking off side, because if dragon's about to spawn, like I said before, right, you can just look for pick before objective, right? You can just look for pick before objective, and now you create pressure bot. You can go invade this guy on his gromp. You can start take his gromp. You can take his entire jungle. You can pressure tier 2, right? Like ganking side lane late game is so OP. Also, like I said, since you farm so much faster once you get items, you can just like gank side on repeat. Like you can just full clear, gank side, full clear, gank side, come out of base, gank side. Like these guys will just start to die instantly. So ganking side is super OP late game as a jungler. You can also look mid if you do have like, you know, the abilities to, but it's a lot harder because the support's going to be defending the mid laner or the ADC, right? So it's a lot harder. Okay, thinking ahead of time. So as a jungler, you always want to be like trying to think ahead of time of what you want to do. You want to have like a mental picture in your head of what's going to happen ahead of time. Whether that's where you're pathing, what objectives spawning, where the enemy jungler is, stuff like that. So let's say, and you should always be looking at your lanes to know this, right? In the wave states kind of determine this, or your team's helped or whatever. So let's say, it's hard to explain without being able to show minions, but if you don't know wave states, so okay, let's just say, to make it easy, red side has more minions on their side than blue side. So this wave's gonna push into blue side, right? And let's say I'm on my wolves. If I know red side has more minions, I can start pathing top, because eventually, right, red side's gonna be pushed in and he's gonna be at risk of getting ganked, right? So this is how you can use a lane state or wave states to know where you should be. Or let's say your blue side, and blue just crashed into the turret. Pretty much all the time, if a wave crashes into a turret, it's gonna bounce back. So eventually red will have to walk up, right? As long as your teammate doesn't grief the wave. Now you can't always rely on your team to play the wave correctly, but you should still know this, because most of the time it's gonna go this way, right? So if blue crashes into red, red's gonna push out. So me being on I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter what I'm doing. I should just know that maybe around 45 seconds from now to a minute, I should be topside, right? So and then you can decide what you want to do between then. Let's say I can do Raptors, Wolves, Gromp into top, because that's 45 seconds. You just want to try to find something you can do in that downtime before you go top. So you just always want to be thinking ahead of time. Or let's say dragon is spawning in a minute, right? So what can I do in a minute to be impactful, right? And you also want to make sure you're probably recalled and on the camp or on dragon spawn before it spawns. So you got to keep that in mind too. So let's say my entire jungle's up, but the dragon's spawning in a minute. I probably don't want to clear my entire jungle, because then if I clear my entire jungle, I'll probably be late to the dragon. Like they'll just all be here, and we'll have to walk in with them having prio. So I'll probably skip my gromp, do wolves, raptors, krugs, and then go dragon, because that kind of gives me a little bit of time to at least set up the dragon. Like, yes, I don't take my gromp and it's sitting here, but at least then you get prio for the dragon. Also, like I said about picking before objectives, right? You can think, okay, well, dragon's spawning in a minute, so I might want to look for a pick on side so I can get numbers advantage for the dragon, because if you just get numbers advantage, it's pretty easy to just take every objective. Okay, I think always have a plan, but okay, so like I said, you always want to be thinking ahead of time, but just know that can change. So I might have a plan to like full clear bot. Actually, can I give a better scenario? Let's say I have a plan to just full clear bot and fight Scuttle because I'm stronger than the enemy jungle, but my bot lane dies. Okay, this isn't bot lane, but this is mid lane. Let's just say my bot lane dies, right? Now I don't want to fight Scuttle because I'm down numbers, so I'm just going to give the Scuttle and run to top Scuttle. Like, you should just you should have a plan, but just be okay if something happens to be able to change it. Or let's say actually let me put these back where they were for now. Okay, so let's say I'm on Raptors and their mid is pretty overextended. So I might have an idea I want to gank mid here, right? So I'm gonna be kiting my Raptors out a little bit towards mid lane. But then my mid laner dies, right? Wait, why am I... Sorry, I have these swapped. Okay, so I might have a plan to like gank mid, right? So I'll kite these out a little bit. But then my mid laner dies. I'm not ganking mid anymore because I can't gank this now, most likely. I mean, sometimes he might be low enough, but now I can't gank this, so I won't just like still go for it. I won't force the play I had in mind, right? I can just be like, okay, the plan changed. I can just go keep full clearing. Or let's say, you know, I'm sitting here waiting to gank and their mid laner uses their mobility ability to go in. Now I can stop doing my Raptors in the middle of doing them and just literally gank him because he has no mobility ability, right? Let's say he's playing Zed and he used his W on the wave. Now I can just go straight there, like literally just instantly go mid. So you want to be able to give your chance the opportunity to like go for plays without committing to it, because I don't want to waste time walking mid unless if like it's gonna be guaranteed, right? Or even bot lane. Say I'm on red buff and they're pretty overextended. I have Krugs up still, right? So I might kite my red buff towards bot lane, and if they go in on my bot lane, I'm ready to react, right? But if they don't, even though I kited this out, I can just go back to my Raptors and clear my Raptors and then do the same thing, kite this out. And if their bot lane goes in, then I can just go. So you want to try to give yourself the chance to like be able to react to things. Because if I'm just doing red and I kite down to Krugs and they go in, like I could probably still react, but it's way easier if I kite it from red buff because I'm closer, right? Like I'm closer here than I am to here. So you just want to try to give yourself the like chance to be able to react to things without committing to it. Like here, I'm not committed. If I do red and then just randomly walk here and then they just back up, that's committing too much. So that's what I'm talking about when I talk about that. So, okay, tracking the enemy jungle, deep vision. So, if you're not very good at tracking based off like just like tracking jungle camps and stuff like that, or being able to predict where they'll be, obviously you can always just obviously you can always just like what was I talking about? I'm sorry. Oh, obviously you can always just place a ward. That's why like Raptors ward's OP. You can always just like after you're clear just place a ward on their Gromp. Because if you okay, let me talk about the vision actually. So if I place a ward on Raptors level 1 and he starts red, I'll know he started red once he gets to his Raptors on his third camp, right? Or if he started blue, if I don't see him on his Raptors third camp, then I know he started wolves. So you can track where the enemy jungler is by where he isn't too. So even if you don't see him on this ward, let me actually put a ward there. If you don't see him on this ward because he's on his wolves, then you know he's bot side. You literally know he's here because you don't see him on his Raptors. I mean, there's a chance he could have gone from his red to your blue, but in cases where champions would do that, you would also place a ward on your blue side, right? So you know he's not here, and you know he's not here, so you know he's here. Or you might not know he's on his wolves, right? But you know he's somewhere on blue side. You don't have to know exactly where he is, but you want to know the general vicinity so you can ping your bot lane to be careful. Because even if you don't know he's on wolves, you know he's in this area, you can ping your bot to be careful. Stuff like that. Put yourself in enemy shoes. Okay, so let's say you just full cleared, right? Both just full cleared. You both just full cleared, okay? Your first camp to respawn is Gromp, and his first camp to respawn is Gromp. So you go to Gromp. Where do you think he is? He's probably on his Gromp, because what would you do if you were in his shoes, right? You would probably just go to your Gromp. Or let's say your bot's overextended, right? And he's coming out of base and his Gromp's spawning, right? You know he's gonna go bot to Gromp, so you can ping your bot to be careful, because there's a good chance he could probably just skip this Gromp and go gank your bot lane. So just knowing like what you would do, you can pretty much guess the enemy jungler is going to do the same thing. Obviously not every jungler plays the same, and especially in low elo, people could just do random stuff where like this guy might just run top for fun and run top and invade you, right? Something like that. But like 9 times out of 10, like sure that might happen 1 out of 10 games or 1 out of 20 games, but like 90% of the time this guy's probably just going to come out of base and try to gank your bot. So knowing that he's going to want to do that, you can ping your bot to be careful. So it's just important to know what you would do to be able to guess what he's going to do. If you think of it like that, it's a lot easier to be able to track the enemy jungler. And general location knowledge, yeah. So like I said, even if you don't know exactly where he's going to be, if you know he's going to be bot side, you can just ping your bot to be careful. So stuff like that. Okay, how to invade. So obviously this is matchup dependent, but general rule of thumb, if you have lane priority, you could probably invade, right? Like if you're invading, you don't have to just straight up fight him. You can wait for your laners to come first because they have first move, because they have shove, right? And then you can slowly take the fight, right? So if you have lane priority, you can pretty much always invade. Now this isn't always the case, but generally it's usually the case. So champion strength. So let's say I don't have mid shove, but I have bot shove, and I am a level up on their jungle. Like I'm 6 and he's 5, right? Because I path better and I got a higher level. Even though I don't have mid shove, I could probably take this fight just because I'm a stronger or a higher level, right? Because their mid probably won't want to fight me because I'm a higher level, or even if they do, I'm stronger enough than this jungler that I can create a big enough lead that the prio here isn't as important. Obviously that isn't like a every time you're level 6 to his 5 you can invade, but it definitely helps. Okay, tethering enemies. So let's say I'm level 5 and he's level 5, right? And they have mid shove. So now I can't just create a lead by being stronger than this guy, right? I can't just force this because I'm stronger, but I still want to invade because I know I'm okay. I am stronger, but I'm not like so much stronger where I could just invade, right? So I want to invade him, but their mid has shove. So what you can do is you can kind of just like tether the enemies, and what I mean by that is like this guy will still have to walk to you, right? It's going to take a while for him to walk to you. Actually, this is better on Raptors. Let me do it on Raptors because Raptors is a little bit easier to show. So let's say I'm red side for this example, and I'm invading the blue jungler. So if I want this guy's Raptors, their mid's gonna be first to rotate always, right? So you can kind of create. They have prio slightly, or maybe the lane's in the middle, but they have prio just because it's on their side of the jungler, right? So, let's say I want to invade this. I can create prio myself by tethering the enemies. And what I mean by that is I can walk in here and try to act like I'm taking these Raptors. This guy's going to move down and try to fight me. I'm still out of range of him, right? He can't hit me from here. So if I see him walk down, I'm going to kind of back up a little bit. And then he's going to go back mid lane. I'm going to go back in. He's going to come down. I'm going to back out, right? And then slowly my mid laner is pushing the wave. I'm going to go back in. He's going to come down. I'm going to back out. My mid laner pushes the wave in. Now the wave's under turret. This guy's going to have to go back under turret. I go back in. My mid laner can come and we get the camp. Or maybe we even kill the jungler because he's fighting me, right? So this is something I love to do because people all the time will like say you can't invade with prio, but they don't understand like just wasting the enemy's time is plenty good as well. Like I can, and that's why I say tethering, right? Like I can literally just keep pulling their mid laner, like put him on a leash. Like, oh god, okay, like basically just put him on a leash. Like I go in, this guy walks down, I back out. Okay, he goes back mid lane, but my mid's slowly pushing, right? I go back in, this guy comes down, I back out. My mid pushes a little bit more. I go in, this guy comes down, I back out. My mid pushes under turret, this guy has to go in, and then we have 2v1. So, and their jungler is going to be too scared to just do the camp because I'm tethering it, right? So that's why that's super OP, I think, for invading. Like, even if you don't have prio, you can do that. You guys still got to be careful of these guys too. You can still tether the bot lane too. It's a lot harder just because the support can probably just ditch the wave and come, right? But in that case, now their bot's 2v1. So your bot lane can maybe even fight them. So even if you don't get this camp, you can tether where you just like go in and their support starts to run to you, right? And then before he gets to you, you just back out. Now the support wasted time. Their ADC is getting run down and you're just, all you did was just waste their time, right? And now their bot laner dies or gets chunked and now you get bot shove. And their support has to walk back down. Now you have bot shove. Now you have bot shove and you can go invade on Krugs. Something like that. Or you can get dragon. Like you can create prio by doing stuff like this. And this is like super OP that I think not a lot of people like try to do. So I don't know how I can highlight that in the video, but I think that's a very important thing that not a lot of people try to do. So trading cross map. Okay. So let's say they have mid shove, right? and they have bot shove, and they're doing dragon just because this dragon's free, right? I know his top camps are up. I can just invade these because even though they have mid shove, their jungler's bot. So if his mid starts to come, my mid should follow because they don't have a jungler, right? But or even if my mid doesn't come, I'm not scared of their jungler being here because he's on dragon, right? So if their mid laner comes, all I have to worry about is him. So I just have to just not die to him. That's all I have to do. Just not die to him. So, and then if he comes, again, it's kind of like tethering enemies. Now my mid starts to get shoved and he goes back. Like their jungler's on dragon. So I can just take this because he's on dragon. Even if they have vision of me doing this, like I can usually just do this. So trading cross map, you can usually just take the enemy camps whenever they like try to go for objectives. So that should be free takings. Okay, how to grow your lead. So like I said earlier, get to your camps on map faster is so important. So let's say we both start blue buff again, right? Let's say we both start blue buff, right? We both full clear, we end up on opposite sides, we do scuttle, and then we recall, or we don't recall. He goes for a bot gank, doesn't work. He goes for a mid gank. He gets a kill. Okay, cool. He kills my mid laner. Sucks. But he's recalling at like 410 because it obviously takes time to walk bot and walk mid, right? So he's recalling at 410. The second I see that, I know I have tempo over him. So I have one choice, like I said earlier. I can wait, I'm blue side. I can just invade him on his gromp because he's going to be in base, right? I can just take this because he can't make it out in time because this respawns at 410. And like I said, he was mid lane at 410, right? So he's in base. I can just take this and probably wolves. And then he's going to come out of base, see this is gone, and he's going to be so sad. He might even try to invade you, but your camps are already gone by then. But most likely he's probably just going to walk his top side and take these. But now you have a 2-camp advantage, right? So you have a 2-camp advantage, and then if he tries to gank top, now you have level advantage. So stuff like that. Another scenario, you both start your camps, right? So you get on your camp at 410. He's mid lane at 410, right? So the time is 410, and he just ganked mid lane, killed your mid laner. So your mid laner's dead. Your mid laner's in base. Okay. You already recalled and you bought your items. You're on your gromp, and he ganked mid. Now he has to recall. So he recalled. Now you're on your wolves. He's coming out of base to gromp. By the time he gets to gromp, you could literally just run to his raptors because you know these are going to be up. He won't have time to make it here unless if he's smart. If someone's smart, they will come to base. Instead of going to gromp, they will go to raptors. But most people won't do that. They'll go to gromp. So what you can do is you can run here and take his raptors, right? Even if he runs to his raptors, if you're here, you probably are stronger than him because you have a level advantage, right? Because you already took these 2 camps. So you're probably level 5 and he's level 4. So you can most likely just fight this. Even if he counters this, right? But the only problem is their mid got a kill, so their mid might be stronger, so that's the only problem, right? So if you're the red side jungler and this happens in your game where you overstay, instead of rocking to your gromp, you should just walk to your raptors because the enemy jungler, if they're good, will invade this, and you do not want to lose your raptors respawn. It's really bad if you do. But let's just say, because this will happen 90% of games, enemy jungler will just run to their gromp on spawn. So after you do your wolves, you can do raptors because you know he's going to take forever to come, right? You do raptors, he's on wolves, you do krugs, and then after you finish krugs, he finishes wolves, he walks here, this is gone, you're already recalled, okay? He sees it's gone, he's peeing for help, he thinks you're in his jungle, so his mid starts rotating, his top starts rotating, and this is already gone. Not only did he waste time, he probably wasted his team's time, and you're already coming out of base to here. You maybe can even just start dragon. Or actually, this might even be the time where grubs are spawning, so you could run out of base to grubs. And now you're probably level 6. Sorry, I have something in my eye. It's bugging me. You're probably level 6, and you have item advantage. So if he tries to fight you, I don't care if they have prio. You're level 6 to his 4. Literally level 6 to his 4. You're 2 levels up. You literally just fight this, and you have item advantage. So you can just force this. Or, like I said, you can just tether the enemies. You're stronger than this guy. He can't fight you. You can even poke him. If they start to come, your mid starts to get shoved. You just tether it, okay? And then eventually your mid crashes the wave. This guy has to go back. Now you just kill the jungler. Like, you can get these small leads in just by being on the map first. Just by being on the map first. Is really important. Because you can see just by being on the map first, you were able to take this, and that became a level 6 or a 2-level lead where you just get to force grubs for free. So that's why it's super important to get on the map first. And then he's gonna fight you here. You're gonna be 6. he's gonna, you know, realize you're level 6, give it, he's gonna recall. After you take this, I mean, you could probably gank top because you're so strong, but like, he has no options except just to go back to his camps. And again, you can take his respawning raptors because he can't fight you on them because you're so strong. And this just becomes a cycle where you continue to do this, and he can't invade you because he's down so many levels. He's down so many levels, he's scared to invade you because he doesn't want to fight you. Unless if he sees you on a ward here, like if this is warded, then maybe he can. Hopefully your bot lane would defend it to keep you ahead, but most games it's not going to be. And it just becomes a cycle where you can just take these camps. Because one, you have it on a timer, and two, you're just so much stronger that you can just take these on respawn. And what's like a 1 level lead becomes a 2 level lead. What's a 2 level lead becomes a 3 level lead, because you can just invade constantly more and more because he's clearing slower because he's so weak, and you're clearing so fast because you're so much stronger. And he can't invade you, so you just get like a 3 level lead off of literally what was just 2 camps at the beginning. So that's just why getting your camps on spawn is so OP. This is the one thing, if you can perfect at a low rank, will get you probably at least emerald, just from this. And then, like I said, use your level lead to pressure enemies. So like even if it's not the grub fight, let's say it's the red buff respawning, if you're 6 off of taking his camps and he's like level 4 or 5, you can just invade him on his red, even if their mid has like slight prio, because you're level 6, you're just gonna kill this guy before their mid can react. And then if their mid starts to react, your mid should follow, and their jungle is going to be dead. So now it's a 2v1. Their mid can't do anything, has to go back. Like, you can just take your lead and do something with it. Because it doesn't really do anything to get a lead and then do nothing. So as soon as you get this lead, you can start pressuring stuff. Like, you know you're 6 and he's 5, just go fight him. Literally just go fight him. Small lead turns into massive lead. Like I said, the 2 camps that you think is just only 2 camps, it literally snowballs. I swear to you, it snowballs. And it also tilts the enemy too, which is another thing, but it snowballs so hard. Okay, how to gank. Lane ganking. Okay, so obviously when you gank, you could literally just like walk through river and just hope this isn't warded. But most of the time it's going to be warded, and lanes won't be warded. So I think lane ganking is super OP and something a lot of people don't do. Especially if you're playing someone with like a good gap closer or like a support that can gap close. If he jumps on the enemy, or if your support jumps on the enemy ADC and you're in this bush, you can collapse it very easily. It's way closer, this bush here. Can I zoom in? Oh, I can zoom in. This bush here is way closer than this bush here. Even if this isn't warded, it's way easier to collapse on the enemy from here to here than here to here, right? So that's why lane ganking is so OP, especially if the enemy team is shoving in bot. Right? Let's say, like I said about wave states earlier, enemy red side has more minions. So if I'm on Krugs and I see the enemy has more minions, I'll just walk into this bush. I will just walk into this bush and just be ready, right? Because this is going to slowly push. It's going to slowly push, right? You can jump on them here, or you could wait for them to go even deeper, right? And then just jump on them. So that's why lane ganking is super OP. Okay, what's next? Dodging vision. So like I said, when you're going for ganks, you just want to make sure you're not in vision, because obviously if you get spotted, it's not work. But the reason I typed this is because let's say you want to gank bot lane, okay? It's highly, if they're overextended, right? It's highly likely that this is warded and this is warded, right? Because they think you're just going to do scuttle and gank. I'm like losing my voice from talking so much. Oh my god. So you're gonna do bot scuttle, right? They're gonna be on top scuttle. You're gonna do bot scuttle, and they're gonna think you're gonna just gank through river, because that's very likely, right? They're overextended, you just run through river. This might work like 40% of games, but if you just take 5 extra seconds to walk around and go this way that isn't warded, you just take 5 extra seconds to go around and go this way, they have to walk into you if they want to go. And it's not guaranteed that you'll kill still, but at least you can guarantee a flash, right? Or 2 flashes. You can probably guarantee like 2 flashes. And especially if your support has like some kind of CC to lock on this guy and you can get on him earlier, they're just dead. Like, they're literally just dead, and they won't even expect it, because like they can't ward all 3 bushes. They have to choose either this and this, or this and this, or maybe they have a word here, this and this. So if you go through tri-bush, like go through tri-bush, it's very easy that this just works. The only thing you have to be careful of is, like, let's say since their bot does have shove, they're probably stronger than your bot lane, right? They're probably stronger because they have shove. I mean, that's just a general rule of thumb. It's not always, but they're probably stronger, right? So the only thing you have to be careful of is they could just turn on you. You do have to be careful of that, because since, like I said about splitting enemies before, when I talked about objectives, they could just like see you and just instantly thresh hook, and then their ADC could turn on you and kill you before your bot can walk up. So you just got to be careful of that. If you're scared of getting turned on, you have to be careful of that. So that's the only thing you should be careful of. You can do the same thing on red side. So if I'm red side jungler and their bot's overextended, instead of just walking through the river, I could literally just go behind Dragon Pit. Like, just go behind Dragon Pit and go through Tribush. Because they're probably just going to have this Tribush warded and the other Tribush, or the other bush here, right? Pixel Brush. So, just instead of going through river, which obviously if you know it's not warded, you probably could do it. Just know that going around is super OP. Even if it's not just level 4, even if it's later in the game, going around is a lot easier usually. Okay, walk ahead of enemy. What I mean by this is, so I want to just do blue side because I think it's easier to explain as blue side every single time, so it's consistent. So if I'm ganking through river, I mean, this is why you go behind, because you can get a better route. But if I'm ganking through river, right? Let me zoom in. I'm ganking through river, instead of just, actually, let's just say I'm ganking through Tribush, right? Because they're super extended, right? Instead of just hugging the wall, and like trying to chase them, you should just walk ahead of them. Because if you've ever, like, I mean, like, obviously a straight path ahead is going to be longer than like trying to do like some curved path and chasing, right? Just going ahead is just always going to be a shorter path. So you'll be able to cut them off even if they're faster than you. Like, as they walk back, you're going to end up, if you hug the wall, you're just going to start chasing them and not be able to catch them. But if you walk ahead and they walk back, they're walking into you. Like, they're literally just walking into you. So you almost always want to try to walk ahead of them, because you get a better path to be able to get onto them. So usually better to just walk ahead. Now there's like a fine line with that, because obviously if you try to walk ahead, they could just run at your bot lane and just fight them, and then now you're chasing this way. So you want to try to, like, there's a fine line between it, but just know, like, usually walking ahead of them is better instead of just walking straight at them. So yeah, that is that. Okay. Counter ganking is more OP than ganking. Like I said earlier, when your ganks could go wrong, I use the example of like the enemy jungler counter ganking a lot, because I think counter ganking is just super OP. I think it's even better than just regular ganking. So let's say we're blue side, right? Let's say we're blue side. Wait, I have this mixed up. Oops. Okay, let's say we're blue side and my bot's kind of overextended, right? And I think their bot lane or their jungler is gonna gank, because let's say I saw them on a ward on Gromp and I see them walking towards bot, right? So I know they're going towards bot. I might just sit in this bush and try to counter gank, because if I just sit in this bush and they jump on my bot lane, they're gonna blow everything on my bot lane, and it's very likely they don't get 100 to 0'd, because 100 to 0ing someone this early in the game is super hard. So when they use all their spells on my bot lane and don't 100 to 0 them, and then I go in, now we can just like turn on them, and my teammate that got like everything used on them is probably still alive and can keep hitting, and then we can just turn on them when they have no abilities. So that's why I think counter ganking is super OP, because they burn all their abilities. One, they probably just use their abilities trying to even gap close, not even to do damage, and then you just turn when they use all their abilities, and you usually just win the fight. And lastly, I'll just talk a little bit about closing out games. Obviously, the obvious answer is just, you know, get Dragon Soul. I mean, that's just like the most generic one. If you get Dragon Soul, you'll probably just win the game. It's the easiest one. Like, if you don't know what to do, you could always just stack dragons, right? You could always just stack dragons. Because you kind of force them to come to you when you do dragons, because they don't want to give you souls, so you kind of can create fights off of that. But other than that, you can create picks, right? So if it's kind of just like a stalemate where like they're just farming mid or farming bot, their mid laners are farming bot, right, they're farming top, you can just pick people off on side, because it really starts to open up the map, especially when it gets later in the game. Like, these death timers start to get like 30, 40, 50 seconds. So if I pick off their mid laner bot, it gives us 40 seconds where they don't have a mid laner, right? This guy's just dead. So now we have numbers advantage. So we can push out bot. I can go for invade here. I get a couple camps. We can pressure tier 2. Stuff like that. Like, you can just take these picks to start building a bigger lead and pressuring stuff. And like, we can slowly pressure this tier 2 off of that pick. Or let's say these guys are farming even and I don't gank them. Instead I pick off like their ADC mid lane, right? We kill their ADC. Now he's off the map. Okay, their support has a backup because no ADC. We get mid shove, and then we go roam towards bot. We could maybe even pick off their mid laner, right? If we kill their mid lane, if we kill their bot lane mid and get shove and just rotate towards bot. But even if we don't kill and he has to back up, now we can start pressuring side lane again, right? Because they're down ADC. We can pressure this tier 2 as 4 people. So you just want to get these picks to start pressuring stuff. Or again, you could just invade and take camps off of that. So that's what you want to try to do. Get picks so you can like try to take up stuff. Because you don't have to like close out the game. You don't have to ace them to close the game. You can slowly pick people off and try to get advantages to close out games. Okay, shove lanes first, rotate and pull enemies around. Okay, so let's say the game is kind of a stalemate where you can't really pick people off, right? It's really hard to. What you can do instead is just get shove mid first, right? And then rotate to side. And because you're rotating, this guy backs up, right? Now you get shove bot. You slowly pick at this turret. You can't kill it, but you do maybe 500 damage, okay? And then your bot rotates back mid, right? And you hover them. And then they hit the wave again, okay? You get shoved mid. Okay, you roam back bot and slowly chunk this tower down to 0 HP, and now you get the tower. So in games that are super like just like dead and nothing happening and no one's getting picked, like you just take whenever you get shove and just take that shove and try to pressure something. Even if it's only a little bit of damage on the turret, it'll eventually break. Or even if it's only one camp, that one camp is like 90 extra gold, maybe it turns into 2 camps later, stuff like that. So I think that's everything. So there's probably more stuff I could have talked about. I mean, this video is an hour 17 minutes long. Hopefully that was some good knowledge. Anything else I could just like go over really quick? No, I guess that's everything. I mean, there's probably other stuff I could talk about. If you ever have questions, just comment in the I guess just leave a comment. I'll try to respond to any. I will respond to any comments about questions. So that should be everything. Hopefully that was pretty educational. Again, if you have any questions, let me know. That should be all.